Welcome everybody to a special. If you don't agree, you're wrong. I am VHS Jace. That's Jason Roy,
I
Gaston,
have I
and
have asthma. Sorry.
as you can see from my logo here, we're talking Tales of the Empire. It's special because I don't think we've ever done a whole show this quickly after they put it up. We've been able to review
No,
it
I
so
I
quickly.
think we just beat our Knuckles record. So yeah. But we have thoughts. We have very burning, hateful,
Burning
fearful
thoughts.
thoughts about Tales
Well,
of the
let's
Empire.
Well, let's get into it. It's a six-part series. They're very short form. They're like from
Yes.
13 minutes to 16 minutes. And the first one was called The Path of Fear. And basically it just talks about it's really the origin of Morgan Lisbeth.
Yes.
So, and
Yes,
which is an
on
interesting character
Dathomir.
who I hadn't really thought about since Ahsoka. So to see her backstory was really great. And that opening where you've got the separatist droid army slaying through the Night Sisters. I loved, and General Grievous being absolute evil best, I thought. Yes.
It's been a while since we've seen the good general, and he was definitely at his most sinister and evil here. And unfortunately for me, that is where my interest in this episode ended.
Really? Really?
Because,
I
quite
Yep, go on.
honestly, here my biggest gripe about Tales of the Empire is they wanted to tell stories of the Empire, of the Sith, of the Night Sisters. Great, awesome. Who the hell cares about Morgan Elsbeth? Who cares? Honestly, you have Asajj Ventress, you have Cad Bane, you have all
Yeah.
these characters from this deep, rich history. Let's get this woman who was in one episode of The Mandalorian and was killed off in Ahsoka.
Yes. Well, look,
Why?
I can
I
understand that perspective.
I don't give a tinker's cuss about this character, and
Mm.
it bored me. It
I must admit,
bored me.
I was concerned about where they were going as why her. But by the time we've done the three-parter with her, I really enjoyed it. And I'll tell you why I really enjoyed it. I liked the pacing of this straight away. They were more like poems, like kind of just little kind of thoughts. And I love the way they were paced slowly. I dug it. I was in the mood to feel like something was. I was shocked at how short they were, but I got to say, for this series in total, I enjoyed getting to see characters who I really wouldn't give care about any other way, but I thought they did really good service to these characters. I'm not expecting now to be attached to these characters moving forward, but to me, it was right on song with Tales of the Jedi.
Wow.
And that first
Okay.
episode, and that first episode, I kind of looked to see it's about the tragedy of Morgan in that one as a child, had come from nothing but torture and pain and saw her entire family slain and her thinking she's got a perspective on how to do the right thing moving forward, but she's just become the villains that, executed her village. And the fact that she gets a kid killed at the end and then she's abandoned, I thought that was great.
It's a
I was into
story
it.
we've seen a million times, though.
Is it though? Is it?
Yes, it is. It
I
is.
mean, it is,
It
but not like
is.
this. I liked it a lot. I dug it. I dug it.
Really?
Yeah, I
Really?
did. I dug it. I liked it. And then the
Okay.
second one, The Path of Anger. Let's get into that one. And that's where we
Mm.
revisit Morgan, where she's basically she's kind of doing a sales pitch. It's her Shark Tank moment to the
Yeah.
Empire about the TIE Defender fighters. Yeah, this is where I suppose this episode went to a bit. I'm digging the pacing, right? I'm digging how it's slow. But by the end of this episode, we get an extended fight sequence that feels really meaningless and frivolous, just for Thrawn to turn around and go, all right, we needed to know you could fight. Why? I mean, like, did you really need to know that? Because you're there to go, hey, I agree with your TIE fighters. Let's work together. Because that's the point of the episode between Thrawn and Morgan. But that fight didn't seem superfluous quite a bit.
No, I didn't care for it. I mean, it's always great whenever we see Well, he's not Grand Admiral, but he's just Admiral Thrawn.
Admiral
here, which
Thrawn. Good old
incidentally,
Lars.
I love the white uniform, but I gotta say the dark uniform looks really sharp on him. And I'm also digging the I'm digging this animation style Thrawn, because to me he looks better this way. Rebels kind of made him look kind of kid villainy. This one,
Yeah,
he's,
well-
he looks menacing.
It's kind of like an evolution from the Clone Wars animation. And let's just say, Jason, you're completely wrong if you don't think this is not beautifully animated. It's probably one of the
Oh,
best
no.
animated.
No,
Yeah.
no, I will
gorgeous.
not disagree one bit that Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi are exquisitely animated series. It's just this one is an exquisitely animated series about a character I don't care about. And by the end, okay, they had 3 episodes to get me to care about Morgan. They failed. Never once. They did this because they felt like they had to explain what she has to do with Thrawn.
Yeah,
guess what? Half of this episode, we learned that, and then it's like, oh, we got another episode coming up. Yay.
Yeah. Actually, it's that 3rd episode I thought was it's kind of I can see what he was trying to do here. It's three parts of her journey to the dark side, right? We get the tragedy, we get the opportunity, and now we get like just the fact that she's purely
the commitment.
The commitment. There you go to it. And she is committed, all right. I mean, come on, dude. It's pretty villainous of her to do what she does there.
Yes.
Like she sets the whole freaking
poor little astromech was just trying to make a phone call.
She's just trying to make a phone call.
Incidentally, the voice on the radio, did you catch who that was?
That was Bo-Katan.
Yes, it was Katie Sackhoff. So
Katie
awesome.
Sackhoff.
Whenever I heard that, I was like, "Is that Bo-Katan?" Awesome.
No. Well, that's what's good about this. They don't delineate now. Like, that was Lars Mikkelsen doing Thrawn, of course. Like,
oh, of course.
It's awesome. I suppose the only grey area now is Ahsoka, right? Like, would it be acceptable for Rosario to go start doing the animated voice? Probably not.
No. If Rosario can have it in live action, in animation, it's got to be the animated voice. I can't remember her name's Ashley something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I love both of these women, but stay in their lane.
Stay in their lanes.
And, unless Ashley says, "Hey, I'm stepping aside. It's Rosario's part now," I would be okay with that. But no.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, ladies. Stay in your lane. It's fine.
Overall, I liked that Morgan storyline. I did. I dug it. Overall, I went, wow, that was something I was not expecting, not asking for either. But I thought it was I like that they're trying to do different things to me. And this is a different kind of format for them to go, well, can we do like little anthology mini-series things going along? And yeah, this character may not be for you in this one, but maybe later on if they do more tales that we get, That's my thoughts on it anyway. But let's move on to...
no, you had your thoughts. Now it's my thoughts. I see this kind of a Harley Quinn situation. It's a character that the executives are fascinated with, and they're going to shove in our face. Morgan was great for what little they used her in the live action series. I just don't care. This is a story that didn't need to be told. This was something that nobody was asking for, and I honestly don't think they did it very well. So hold on. Do we still have it? Because we haven't done this in a while. Okay, here we go.
Well, I'll
call the show what we call it.
All right, well, let's move on to the second half of it. All right, let's see if the storyline. Now we move into former Jedi Barrett's office story, which is an interesting one. As a character or just the storyline in general?
No, just as the character. I'm still angry with what she did to Ahsoka.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we get to see what happens with her, and she's basically recruited to be an Inquisitor in that episode. And come on, I mean, you did like the moment. Anytime you see Vader walked in being a pimp in that first episode at the end, It's good, right? It's good.
It is
And it was
good.
great to have Jason Isaacs returning as the Grand Inquisitor.
I honestly didn't think it was Jason at first.
It
I
is,
was
though?
just thinking, who is this guy doing the voice of the Inquisitor? It's not Jason. Then I looked and I'm like, oh, it is Jason.
It is
It's
Jason,
almost like I guess Jason was in the studio for like 5 minutes. Is like, I can't remember how I voiced this guy. Oh well, here we go.
There we go. Yeah,
He's still
it would have
good
been a
though.
while. It was like
I am
10
not
years
gonna.
ago we did it.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna disparage the guy. He did good. He does good in everything he does. It was just slightly different voice that I wasn't prepared for.
Barris never, in this whole 3 stories, my issue with this one is she never comes off as if she's fully committed at all at any part. Maybe that's the idea, to do that on purpose. But I'm like, to be an Inquisitor, you'd be pretty well single-minded at that point. It just feels like they didn't sense her doubt. Like, no one picking up on that vibe that she's not 100% convinced on this.
I think it's kind of telling that whenever she lines up with the other Inquisitors and she meets their master and it turns out it's Darth Vader, I'm
Yeah.
surprised Darth Vader didn't walk by her and go, wait a minute, I know
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Crunch.
Crunch. See you later.
Which I don't know. Vader's kind of a masochist. Maybe he was just like, I know you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed these 3 episodes way better
more.
than I enjoyed the Morgan Elsbeth episodes. I found them more captivating, and what happened to Barriss after the Clone Wars? What happened after she got thrown in jail and the Republic collapsed? That interested me, and I thought it was a really interesting journey.
And it kind of it solves the problem that you mentioned in the last 3, that you felt like the story had been done before. I've never seen this done in a Star Wars where we get to see the flip side of a journey, and it's pretty cool. I probably like the 3rd one the most out of all 3 of them, but basically the second one was her and that 4th sister. Now, that 4th sister is what you would expect Inquisitor to be, right?
Yes,
She's
just ruthless and awful.
Oh, she's a Sith Karen, like all the way. This one, she's just mean. And the village. Oh, that scene in the village, mate.
That was rough,
brutal, and that kid having to watch the whole thing. And
I enjoyed how they kept going back to old Star Wars lines in this series, and they would say, well, like, the path of hatred, that's an old Yoda quote, but whenever the space Karen goes and slaughters the whole village, and Barriss just takes that little boy's head and says, don't look back. Star Wars The Phantom Menace 25th anniversary in theaters now.
It's
an underrated movie, and I love it.
Yeah, well,
there's a kid flying a spaceship. Oh God, there's a.
I never joined in the hate. I never joined in the hate.
If you're gonna hate on something, hate on Attack of the Clones. That's a movie that deserves it.
Well, there's elements of it that deserve it, not the entire film. I think the main 2 leads are the problem with that film.
Okay, fine. Hate on Rise of Skywalker. That one deserves it.
Oh, nobody argues that. What is that film? This is this pretend film you're talking about that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I really wish they'd done a sequel to The Last Jedi. I would have loved to have seen where they'd gone with those marvelous hanging plot threads. It's just too bad it never happened.
Yeah. Well,
Disney.
Yeah.
If they can do a Terminator sequel that ignores the other Terminator movies, you can do a Star Wars movie that ignores the other Star Wars movies.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
We have time traveling space whales.
# Duel of the Fates. Make the movie. Let's do it. The Snyder Cut. Let's do it.
Yeah. Either way, with Barriss coming back to her and the 4th sister and that brutal slaying at the end, that's when we kind of get a real good sense that she's probably really doubting whether she took the right job.
I kind of wish she'd had an internal monologue during that scene whenever all the villagers are getting slain and she's holding that kid's head. She's like, I wonder if this is not the right path for me. This seems kind of mean.
Yeah. But it takes a really interesting turn, and I love this last episode. It finishes on a banger, as far as I'm concerned.
I was not expecting a time jump.
A great time jump,
and I thought it was really cool. I liked
it's an epilogue, isn't it? Really?
Yes, it is. Barris kind of becomes a Yoda-like figure, and and I just love how she's kind of passive, and she doesn't fight back. She's more about evading and redirecting, and that's cool stuff. That's very Airbender-ish of her.
It's also very cool too, because it was proof that she'd been training.
Yes,
the whole time she'd obviously found a very strong connection with the Force. I mean, because you don't get that kind of skill set in defense. And then look at her powers when she actually puts her in the caves, and the messing with her mind as such.
Yes,
I mean that's strong Force powers right there that she's using on her.
Yeah, I loved all those scenes with the fourth sister running through. Hey, May the fourth sister, clever. But with the fourth sister going through the caves, because one, you never got the sense that the other party with the baby was ever really safe, because they would almost run into each other a couple of times.
That was good.
That was really good for the tension. But I love the fact that they didn't do the whole cliched thing where she finds the hangar just when the ship takes off, and she's like, no, she hears it take off in the distance, and she knows she's failed.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna say this also. I've seen a few people complaining about how, spoiler alert, everybody. I've seen a few people complaining how Barris is stabbed seemingly out of nowhere. Barris was trying to redeem her.
Yeah.
And figured that was the only way to do it.
Yeah.
I also love how they left everything up in the air at the end.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me what Barris's fate is, we still don't know.
We don't know. All we know
still don't
is
know.
They come out of the cave in a beautiful shot, mind you. The animation was just go gorgeous. And I liked it.
Hopefully Barris and the fourth sister, retired, and they run a bed and breakfast together somewhere on an island. That's how I like to think.
And it kind of, in a way,
and their first customer is Ahsoka, and that's when things get awkward.
Oh, that's
I'm here for my reservation, and it's you. Oh, it's you.
Better make that 2 Mai Tais.
Okay. Okay. Disney, third installment. Tales of the Padawans. There we go. Do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Tales of the, what else could you do? You could do Tales of what was Han Solo? He's a rogue. He was
Tales of the Smugglers, Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yes, there you go.
Tales of the Ewoks. Tales of the Rogues.
Tales of the Gungans. I'd watch it.
Oh,
I would watch it.
6 episodes of terrible people. Whoa! You know what? If the entire, I would love to see Ahmed Best come back and voice Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
And just make Jar Jar Binks a complete badass.
Yeah.
I've heard there's a story where Jar Jar Binks is basically at the end, he's a street clown trying to entertain children. Start there, and then have him get caught up in this weird cross-galactic adventure, and just have him be a hero at the end, and everybody loves Jar Jar. I would love that.
You make it funny enough, I'm going to go to Star Trek now, but I was watching a Star Trek episode with Neelix where he gets his mate, sees his mate at that station, and gets caught up in this murder thing. and what he says to Captain Janeway at the end, he was like, the first off, I thought I was doing the right thing. Then it led to another decision. Then it led to another decision. And before I knew it, and that's what you could do with Jar Jar. I just think Disney should do what ifs for Star Wars now, and do the Jar Jar Sith.
There is a rumor going around. I don't know what the validity of it is, but there's a rumor that Disney is going to do Star Wars Infinities, which was a comic book line back in the 10s, I think. But the first 3 issues was, what if Luke Skywalker missed the exhaust port of the Death Star? The second one was, what if Luke Skywalker didn't survive the attack of the Wampa? And the third one was so weird, but it was like it was for want of a nail. It was that poem, but it was what if C-3PO didn't translate fast enough? And it starts out with C-3PO's trying. Oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't that. It was what if Jabba hit C-3PO a little harder? So he hits C-3PO and it knocks 3PO's head off. So he's not there to translate Leia's alien language to Jabba. Leia has to take her helmet off to talk to Jabba. That means that jig is up. And it just like leads into this snowball effect where things get worse and worse and worse. Disney, we want Star Wars Infinity. That would be amazing. Like,
it would be
what
amazing.
if Rise of Skywalker was not a complete cluster fudge?
But you can just do so much with every. I'd even have one where Han Solo's, when he's going down to be frozen to carbonite, instead of he says "I know," he says "I don't." There you go.
Well, it would have just been Return of the Jedi. They would have just showed up at the fleet going, "I miss Han. Do you? I don't."
Yeah. Like I don't care about him.
Jabba's
stay frozen.
Jabba's sitting there in his palace going, "They're going to show up any minute now. I just know it. I just know it." Jabba, you've been saying that for a month. I just know it. It's my birthday.
Look, so you are split down the middle with this series. I for one loved all of it, but you are split down the middle.
I've been hearing it called Tales of the Mid. That's where I'm at.
Really?
Tales of the
Mid.
The first part of it was just who gives a darn. Second part of it was this is what the first 3 episodes should have been. It just seems like to me, again, they had so many rich, wonderful characters on the dark side they could have chosen, and they chose one that I just did not care about.
Fair enough. Well, you've got to have your say. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm giving it a dazzer. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It isn't perfect, but I thought it was interesting. I'll never watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it. Like, it's not something I'm going to repeat again, but I had a good time with it.
Obviously, this is something that I probably wouldn't watch again either, which is weird because Tales of the Jedi, I watched that beautiful Ahsoka episode like once every couple of months, the one where she's a baby. I just love that one. Yeah. It's a beautiful episode. But yeah, even the parts that I enjoyed did not remotely approach this. So sorry. It's a koala of apathy for me.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's the whole idea of this show. If you don't agree, Jason's wrong. So which Jason's wrong? That's up to you guys. We know which Jason's right, and that's all that matters. Yeah, the Jason off screen. Awesome, guys. Well, there you go. We hope you enjoyed. We want to know what you guys thought. Like, please let us know what you thought of this episode. It's clearly dividing people now. If it's called Tales of the Mid, some people are liking things, some people aren't. So we would love to know. Also, if you really want to support the channel, of course, you do your like and subscribe and all those wonderful things. But more importantly, Jace, how can people out there support us?
You can support us by becoming a Patreon to this channel by looking at the link in the video description below. You can support us for as little as $5 a month. And everything that you donate to us every month goes to a good cause. Usually cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers be good.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time on If You Don't Agree,
You're Wrong, and may the 4th be with you.
There you go. I'm shocked, dude. We didn't talk about it, but I'm shocked you didn't like that first 3.
I sense a million nerds crying out in anguish and then going silent.